let's move on. I've got Dr. Rahul Kushwah here. There he is backstage. Now he's front stage. He is the COO of Predict Medix. Rahul, how are we doing today?
I'm great, Spencer. How are you doing today?
Doing great. I guess I should have called you Dr. Kushwah. I apologize. Let's bring on his slides here. There we go. And tell us all about. You guys are not working on a drug. So far, we've had a bunch of drug companies say you guys aren't developing a drug. You're doing something a little bit different. Tell us about that.
Oh, absolutely. I would say we are a lot different when it comes to that side of business. So, Predict Medix is a publicly traded company trading on CSE in Canada and OTC markets in the US. And we are essentially an artificial intelligence company, and we are developing solutions, or I should say, we are commercializing such solutions that makes a real difference to the world in terms of solving the real world problems. Our focus is all around workplace health and safety and healthcare. And our solution from outside looks a lot like what you would see when you come into an airport, which is like a metal detector. The stations that we have developed, these are called safe entry stations, but they're not detecting for metals or explosives. What they're looking for and identifying are signs and symptoms of infectious disease, such as COVID 19, signs and symptoms of cannabis and alcohol impairment, along with mental illness. So basically, these gateways, we call them safe entry stations. They are completely contactless, non invasive. There is no need for any biological agent to be used to do the screening. And it's a very rapid screening process. People essentially walk through these stations, and in a fraction of a second, the output is given, and the output is in the form of a green or a red light, basically identifying if the individual is exhibiting signs and symptoms of infectious disease, if they are showing signs of impairment, or even signs of mental illness. So now, when we talk about the workplace health and safety standpoint, this becomes a great tool to bring into any workplace because it is not impacting the workflow of people as they're coming in. If anything, it's playing a role in enhancing productivity. And that's where we can say that we are actually addressing a very significant market on a global level. I mean, everyone did used to talk about workplace health and safety, how we need to bring solutions to the forefront. But what has effectively happened is that ever since COVID 19 came into the picture, now it's more about let's not just talk about bringing in solutions, let's do something to bring in solutions so we can stay open. So it's the devastating impact that COVID has had on all the businesses. Perhaps we can move beyond this. So it's essentially a multi-billion-dollar market that we are addressing. I mean, it involves offices, long-term care centers, industrial workplaces, large event, or basically any place where you have a large movement of people. Our solutions have been commercially deployed with several different clients, and at the same time, we have had validation by tier one customers as well. For instance, Indian Oil Corporation, it's a Fortune 100 company. Last year, their revenues were over 85 billion. We have had successful deployments with them, and in fact, they threw an actual press event to highlight our technology, and now they're evaluating the rollout of our technology all throughout their global sites. At the same time, our business model is high margin, it's a recurring revenue, so it's essentially a SaaS based model. And the contracts that we are executing as of now tend to be around 24 months. So, again, high margin, recurring, and long term. Along with that, we're also offering a remote patient care platform, which is focused more on remote patient monitoring. And I'll talk about it a bit more as we move through the presentation. So our solutions can broadly be divided into four different categories. COVID-19, again, it has basically devastated countries, economies, and now it's about how can we open workplaces where, to some extent, we can try to limit the spread of an infection so the productivity is not impacted, we can stay open, and business can flourish. And that's where our technology to screen for signs and symptoms of infectious disease comes to the forefront. The other market or the other technology that we are offering is to identify signs of cannabis and alcohol impairment. Again, that has remained a global workplace health and safety concern all along and is going to be the case for I guess, for the next decade. So the solution that we are offering is all about screening individuals for signs of impairment without the use of any biological agent. The third one is more of a diagnostic tool, which is for mental illness. Again, multi-billion-dollar impact on the global level, and that is what we are addressing using our technology. And the fourth one is virtual care, where our niche is about remote patient monitoring and bringing in the AI that can offer predictive insights as patients are being monitored regularly, whether it's a clinical trial or long-term care or the overall treatment regimen and even for chronic diseases as well. Our solution for infectious disease symptom screening, as I said, it is a revenue generating vertical for us. The technology has been commercialized. We have clients on a global level. We have successful deployments in different parts of the world. In the US, we deployed successfully at some Super Bowl events where we have got some great coverage in Fox News and even live validation of our technology. A few weeks ago, we deployed our technology at the Palm Tree Music Festival in the Hamptons, where we screened thousands of people as they were coming into the festival. We have deployed our technology successfully with De Beers at some of their exhibitions, and at the same time, our clients in North America include real estate players, office buildings, Flow Hydration, which is actually a well-known brand name in North America. And at the same time, as we speak, we do have a lot of our units being sent over for a major sporting event in North America as well. So how does our solution work to screen for COVID-19 and infectious disease-associated symptoms? So when you look at a safe entry station, these are equipped with multispectral cameras and a host of sensors. And our technology or our patents come into play in terms of how that data is analyzed. So as people are walking through these sensors and multispectral cameras, they're capturing a lot of data, and that data is being converted into symptoms by our AI algorithms. These AI algorithms have been trained on clinical data through our clinical partnerships, and the output is basically given in form of a red or a green light. So it's quick, non-invasive, it's fully automated, no need for anyone to be standing next to the terminal. And if the red light goes off, basically it means the person is exhibiting signs of an infectious disease. If it's a green light, then really it's good to go. And the solution can be deployed both in an indoor and an outdoor location, again, workplaces, retail, institutions, buildings. And we have had some tremendous success in all of these verticals. And as I said earlier, especially having a validation from a tier one client and having them come to us and have a discussion around a global rollout bodes well for our technology moving forward. And at the same time, the contracts that are typically being executed are actually a minimum of 2 years. And the way how we look at the solution is as before 9/11, for instance, metal detectors were not a commonplace, but after 9/11, the world changed, and now anywhere you go, it's a building, airport, you're screened by metal detectors, and it's a commonplace. The COVID-19 pandemic has sort of placed a similar strain on the global level. Now, that aspect of workplace health and safety, creating safe bubbles have come to the forefront, and that's where our technology comes into place. So we do envision a long-term utility and a long-term business model around our infectious disease screening solution. The next solution that we are offering is to screen for signs of cannabis and alcohol impairment. And overall, for alcohol impairment, there are breathalyzers out there, but again, you cannot be using breathalyzers regularly on every employee that is coming on a daily basis. So that's where our technology comes in from the alcohol standpoint. Now, if we talk about cannabis, there are companies out there that are trying to develop breathalyzers to monitor levels of THC. But with cannabis, the issue tends to be that levels of THC do not always correlate with impairment. And again, this is something which has been shown in several clinical studies that have been published over the past 12 months. Our technology is essentially the first to market where we're not monitoring or measuring levels of THC. Instead, what we are identifying are signs of impairment induced by cannabis. Again, just like our infectious disease screening solution, multispectral cameras and sensors in the safe entry stations, capturing the data, which is then analyzed by our AI algorithms, and then outputs are given in the form of a red or a green light. If the green light goes off, essentially that means the person is showing signs of cannabis or alcohol impairment, and at that point, they can be subjected to secondary testing. The third solution, which is in the R&D phase right now, is our mental illness diagnostic screening. So this is not just a screening tool, it's more of a diagnostic tool. Now, when we talk about mental illnesses, even now, the diagnosis does tend to be quite subjective. There isn't like a standard blood test that you can take to identify what is that mental illness the person may be down with. So what we are essentially doing is we are developing AI algorithms which are learning from these clinicians, and it's trying to eliminate that subjectivity. So basically, what it's about is the person comes and sits in front of the station. The station asks the individuals to read a script, and for that time frame, the person is being monitored, and then the AI algorithms basically come out with a predictive outcome to identify if the person is showing early signs of depression, dementia, or ADHD. And we have partnered with healthcare providers like Max Healthcare and MGM Healthcare, where we're starting to gather clinical data to further train and refine our algorithms. In terms of our financial model, it's a SaaS-based model, and again, as I said, it's a high-margin recurring revenue model. When we deploy the safe entry station or the actual fabricated unit upfront, that's around $3,500 to $12,000 per unit, which is the revenue coming to PMED and our PredictMedix. And then there is the recurring SaaS fee, which can range between $1,000 to $3,000 a month, depending on the volume of screenings. And at the same time, as I said, the contracts that we have executed are multi-year contracts. And now what we're seeing is that people are more open to even signing on to even longer contracts. We have established some major partnerships around the globe. For instance, in North America, we have partnered with Juice for Its Exhibits, who are selling and fabricating our stations. I mean, they work with some of the largest companies in North America. We have also partnered with SBL Testing Technologies. I mean, they sell drug tests all over North America. So both the infectious disease solution and the impairment solution is something that they are in the process of pitching to their clients and essentially getting us the POs for their clients. The third company that we are working with in North America is Connexus Global. So they are a technology integrator. They have clients all over North America, and we are working actively with them for our infectious disease screening solution. Outside North America, we have partnered with Paris Defense, which is perhaps India's most progressive defense company. The key to the partnership is that they have a great tie-up in the public sector in India. So right now, as we speak, we have engaged with Paris Defense, and through them, we are actually working on engaging at the government level to essentially get our technology deployed and standardized at the government level. Along with that, we also have a tie-up with Tech Mahindra, which was ranked as the top 15 IT companies by Forbes. We have had some great coverage, I mean, in US, Canada, and India. I mean, major dailies, Tampa Bay Times, Fox News, Times of India, City News here in Canada. I mean, a lot of these dailies and outlets have covered our technology. I mean, which again has helped us to even get bigger traction from the business development standpoint. The fourth vertical that we are in is next generation virtual care. So this is a platform that we acquired last year, and this has allowed us to get into the multi-billion-dollar telehealth telemedicine market. Again, overall, that market tends to be too crowded, especially since COVID-19 came into the picture. But our niche is about remote patient monitoring. For instance, long-term care and retirement residences. You deploy the solution there, and everyone who is living in those residences can now be monitored regularly and remotely. Similarly, clinical research organizations. So let's say you're running a clinical trial, rather than having every person visit the clinical site for monitoring, whether it's once a week or twice a week, now you can be monitoring the person daily. And not only that gives you a lot of access to the data as a CRO, but at the same time, it also gives you the peace of mind that you're monitoring the person daily. And the third one is, of course, targeting the HR departments at different employers, because mobile well-being can also become an enterprise solution which can tie up well with our screening modalities, and it can be used to basically look at employees, in other words, who is being scanned as positive, negative. Let's say if somebody has been sent home, how is the person being managed, so on and so forth. Along with that, we have partnered with Versus Systems, and as we speak, we are integrating some of the latest variables into our remote patient monitoring platform. And we're also adding on rewards programs to make sure that patients who are being monitored, they are incentivized to do so on a daily basis. Along with that, we are adding some AI-related predictive analytics where the platform can not only just monitor the data actively, but at the same time for a given patient, basically send out alerts whereby even before the things go wrong, that is the platform can almost predict that now, let's say certain parameters are beyond that normal range for the individual, so it's about time a clinician connects with them. We have filed 6 patents with the US Patent and Trademark Office, 1 patent for our impairment solution, 1 for our infectious disease symptom screening, and 4 patents for our remote patient monitoring platform. As far as our leadership team goes, our CEO is Mr. Sheldon Kales. He has held leadership roles in several R&D companies in US, Canada, and the Middle East. I'm the CEO of the corporation. I actually come from the academic world. So before, I was a professor at the University of Ottawa Medical School in Canada, and I was a scientist with the federal government. So for me, it was about bridging the gap between healthcare and data science, which is exactly what we are doing at PredictMedix. In terms of our outlook for the next 12 months, I mean, we are working on large-scale commercial rollouts for our infectious disease symptom screening solution, and that's happening in North America, Europe, India. At the same time, for any AI-related product, what you want to have is a steady access to a data pipeline. Now, as COVID-19 is mutating and as we are encountering so many different variants, the key for us is to make sure that we are capturing that data on an active level so the AI algorithms can adapt as symptoms begin to change. And we do have a partnership with MGM Hospital where we are getting that data regularly. And at the same time, we're also doing a clinical study along the lines of efficacy, which we do anticipate to publish in a peer-reviewed journal. Along with that, we're also going to be enhancing our AI model by adding some more functionalities. Now, coming to our impairment solution, we are completing a study with over 3,000 participants. We are refining the AI algorithms using the data, and we do anticipate to be rolling out pilot programs with partners all over North America shortly. When it comes to our remote patient monitoring platform, we are in the process of adding that AI functionality. The platform has been successfully validated with hospitals both in Canada and the US. And so we have also initiated commercialization discussions with some major partners in Asia as well as North America. And so overall, with PredictMedix, I would say that we are at that bridge of healthcare and technology, offering solutions which are quite disruptive to the overall market. Basically, if I could call it, that we are opening a new window when it comes to workplace health and safety and healthcare. One of our solutions is producing revenue, has been commercialized, and the other 2 are going to be commercialized very soon. And that's where we feel that it's perhaps a great time to have PredictMedix as part of your portfolio, because we are also working towards becoming a fully reporting US issuer, which should basically be happening, I should say, any day now. And at the same time, we have also engaged with E.F. Hutton, which is one of the largest mid-tiered investment banks based out of New York City, for an eventual uplisting on NASDAQ. And that is it from my side. And now I'll take any questions that you guys have.
Oh man, thank you so much, Dr. Kushwah. Okay, I think I can do this one from Craig in the chat. Are there plans to scan large amounts of people simultaneously for COVID symptoms?
Yes, so actually we do have a configuration where basically we have multiple of these single units attached next to each other, so you can have like 10 people being scanned at the same time.
Got it. Got it. Thanks for the question, Craig. And thank you, Dr. Kushwah. Rahul Kushwah is the CEO of Predict Medix, URL ticker up on the screen. Dr. Kushwah, thanks so much for coming on today at the Benzinga Small Cap Healthcare Conference.
Thanks, Spencer.
All right.